Hey everybody. I know it's been a while since I've been on here. I told you I would do updates when things actually happened. There's been a couple of things, but I wanted to wait a little while until I got some last bit information to do this podcast. Um, so, as you know, last year, 2021, in January, I found out I had cancer. First, it started off as just being cancer in my appendix, which I guess is super rare. They found that out doing a colonoscopy, and turns out my appendix it burst up. My appendix didn't burst, but the cancer burst out of my appendix to affect part of my stomach, colon, intestine. So I basically went from, hey, I see a spot on your appendix, which could be cancerous, to you have stage 4 cancer, all within a couple weeks. Um, so I started on chemo, did that for months, then had the surgery, and the surgery could have gone one of two ways. One way was in the hospital a couple of days, out for work for 2 weeks, or it could have been in the hospital for weeks and out of work for months. And of course, that's how it turned out. So they had to do what they call a chemical or a chemo bath, which is just what it sounds like. They bathed all my organs in chemo liquids. Um, Spent a couple weeks in the hospital, actually about a week and a half, and 5 months I was off work. That wasn't fun, but considering what I'd heard about cancer before, it wasn't as bad as I'd envisioned. Not to say it was a pleasant experience, but really, I never felt any pain from my cancer. I never would have known I had cancer if it weren't for the colonoscopy, um, and which is why guys do the colonoscopy. Do it in your late 40s, not your 50s. It's a simple procedure. You don't feel a thing. They knock you out for it. Just do it. It saves your life. Um, so anyhow, I ended up losing my gallbladder, part of my stomach, intestine, colon, appendix. Um, and after the surgery, I went back and did chemo again for a couple months, and that's where I left off. Well, first of the year, I got a new PET scan, and the PET scan came back, and my doctor informed me that I had no active or residual cancer left, which means I'm cancer free. So, a nice way to start the new year. And another term for that is NED, no evidence of disease. So, it honestly couldn't have worked out any better for me. Going from stage 4 cancer, finding out you have cancer, finding out you have stage 4 cancer, chemo, surgery, chemo, no cancer left, all in one calendar year. It absolutely would have been the best case scenario, not only for being cancer free, but fiscally, considering it was all in one calendar year, so it all fell under one deductible. And my max out of pocket expense I think was $6,000, and I mean, we're talking probably $100,000 worth of medical procedures. Now, where does that leave me? And this is why I wanted to wait. I found out literally the first week, well, just before New Year's, I had the CT scan, and it was on a Thursday, and I didn't want to see the results until after the weekend. I know that's stupid. It's just I figure, what, if I'm going to find out it's bad news, I'd rather wait till the following year. So I was going to wait until New Year's Day, but New Year's Eve I ended up looking, because a lot of times when you get these CT scans or one of these tests, it's all gobbledygook. You can't understand what it says. But every now and then the doctor will actually put in his 2 cents. So I thought that could go one of two ways. Either I wouldn't understand it, or he'd put in his 2 cents. Now, I already had an appointment scheduled for February, so I figured if I look at the results, it's all gobbledygook. I'll talk to him in February and find out. Well, when I opened it up on that night and it said, congratulations, basically you're cancer free. I mean, I was happy, but it was more of a relief for my parents, because they've been going through their own medical issues, and I called them, and that's the only time I got really teary-eyed, was telling them that I was cancer free, at least for now, and seeing the relief on their faces. I think you've heard the term, you should never bury your child. And honestly, I guess a lot of people thought when they found out I had stage 4 cancer that could be the case. I never really thought that way. I always thought, when I first got the results back and they said you have a spot on your appendix, I'm like, okay, so what? Big deal. It's appendix. It can be removed. If there's going to be a spot anywhere, that'd be the best place. And then it was, oh, you have cancer. I'm like, okay, cut out the appendix. We're done. And then it was, oh, it's spread to here, 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 here. I was like, okay, what do we have to do? What's the schedule? It was never a, oh, woe is me, why me, I'm going to die kind of stuff. There's really no point when you think about it. There's no point in looking at it like that. It's, what can we do? Let's do it, and then go from there. Now, if he'd have said, there's nothing we can do, I probably would have been, oh, woe is me, what am I going to do kind of stuff. But as long as there was a course of action, that's what I looked at and said, let's just do it. We'll get through that part. I feel fine. And we'll wait and see at the end. If there's more stuff that needs to be done, we'll worry about it then. He even asked me at one point, when he told me I had stage 4 cancer, the oncologist had said, do you want to know what your options are after if the chemo doesn't work? And I told him no. I said, there's no point. Why worry about something you have no control over when there's already options of things you can do? And that was my attitude. I got all my friends and my family saying, wow, your attitude was so great. I just looked at it. There's no point worrying about something that you have no control over. It's like if the sun was going to explode, I can't control that. So just live your life the way you want to until that happens. Now, I will say it made me really think about a lot of future plans. Like for my daughter, I have a 401k plan. Do I keep putting in money in my 401k? Because, who knows? I'm not going to be around. Should I get the money now and use it towards her? Not necessarily cashing out the 401k, but just not putting into the 401k. We have a family cabin that we've had since, it's like 60 years old. It's been handed down from generation to generation. And I was thinking, oh my God, my daughter's 25 years old. Now she's 26. How's she going to deal with having this cabin? Is she going to take care of it? My brother going to handle it? And it's not much of a cabin. It's got electricity, but it's not like anything special. It's not worth that much. It's more sentimental value. But you start thinking of future stuff, like the house that I'm living in. If I die, does my daughter get it? Will she be able to maintain it? Things like that. So a lot of those scenarios were going through my head. And what's funny is I was at work the other day, and the CEO came up to me and he says, hey, it's really good to see you out talking with people again. Your smile and your good spirits. And I said, well, yeah, I just found out I have no evidence of disease, so things are great. And one of the guys who was listening said, so does the air smell better? Does the food taste better? And I said, not anything like that. It's more of now I have to plan for the future again. So things that I might have thought maybe I I wouldn't have to worry about so much because there was a chance that I wouldn't be around. Now I got to worry about them again. So, yeah, NED. Who would have thought? 1 year. Another interesting thing is, I think I told you in one of the previous podcasts that my ex-sister-in-law, had sent me a message saying, to try this medication. Read up on this article about this guy who took this dog medication. And I know what you're all thinking is that ivermectin, Joe Rogan horse medication, but it's completely different. Well, not completely. It was a dewormer medication that for dogs that this one person took, cured his cancer. So back in August, I decided to take it, and it just coincidence, whatever you want to call it. A couple days after that, I started having stomach problems and ended up back in the hospital, and they had to do the whole kidney dialysis thing. The medicine had nothing to do with that. That was because I was dehydrated. But I took it, and after what happened, I was like, I'm going to let the process play itself out. I don't need to do any Hail Mary kind of stuff yet. So I find out I've got NED, and my sister-in-law sends me another message and says, hey, my mom was stage 4 cancer. She's now NED. And I'm like, oh, I know what that means. And she said she's been using Fenbin. And I'm like, Fenbin? What is that? Is that another story she heard of? No, it's the same thing, except now they sell like a human version. The version that I had taken was the version that the guy said that cured him, which is this powder that you mix in with food. Now they make an actual pill. So she says that her mom is alive because of this Fenbin. And I'm like, all right. Well, I had my call with my doctor in February, which was a couple of days ago, which is why I waited to make this video. And so I asked him about it. And I told him my ex-sister-in-law, her mom took this stuff. She was stage 4, just like I was. And now she's good. And he looked it up, and Fenbin is just a short of fentanyl biositase, whatever. It's the dog dewormer. And he said, the stage that I'm at, don't even consider it. He said it could cause some liver issues, which is the exact same thing that when I took the medication and was in the hospital, the guy who came back and said, I don't think this has anything to do with the medication because it wouldn't affect your kidneys, it would affect your liver. So there was a consensus about that. And yes, I still have my cough. So he was basically saying this to him looked like more of a money grab kind of thing. Like, hey, there's not a lot of studies done on it. There's not a lot of proof it does anything. But isn't that the same thing they said about ivermectin? And then I just read something yesterday about Japan saying that ivermectin works against Omicron. Total apples and oranges. But all I'm saying is, if you have stage 4 cancer, now it could be a different stage 4 cancer. For all I know, it may help if you have it in your lymph nodes or your prostate or something like that. I have no idea what my ex-sister-in-law's mom had. And it could affect women different than men. It could affect, although it was a man that originally claimed it worked for him. But, it could be cancer in different areas. It works differently. So to sum things up, I'm not going to take it. But I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind. If something happens where I get cancer again, and if I don't have any options, I sure as hell am going to try that stuff. Because, what do you have to lose? It might hurt my liver. Well, if you're dying of cancer, that's a small price to pay to see if it works. But obviously, right now, every 3 months I'm going to get a CT scan to make sure the cancer's still gone. and then have an appointment with my doctor. And if for some reason the cancer comes back, we'll talk about the options. Maybe I do chemo again. Who knows? Worry about that if it ever happens. And then if it gets to the point where things are looking bad, I will contact my sister-in-law and say, "Hey, can you give me some more specifics about your mom and where she had her cancer, etc." And maybe Fenben, or technology. We're living in an age right now where I probably would have been dead 10 years ago. But I mean, Biden just came out with this thing saying that he wanted to do something with cancer, like do half the deaths in 10 years or something like that. All I'm saying is the way technology is growing is there's a lot more stuff coming out for cancer than there's ever been. So we've got that to look forward to. So yeah, cancer free, priorities in life, back to working hard again and keeping everything, mortgage up to date, worrying about the daughter, stuff like that. I guess the next time you'll hear from me is after my next CT scan, see how things go. But like I said, honestly, it couldn't have worked out better. And yeah, things are good. So hopefully anybody who's watching this who got diagnosed with cancer is doing just as well. Anything that you ever want to talk or you have any questions, just drop me a line and I'll see what I can do to help. So signing off for now, but things are good. Talk to you later.